And I've seen a lot of cops, I've seen a lot of lawyers pull out all of the stops. I've seen a lot of children with their parents in their hands. I've felt a lot of women who refuse to understand. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. You see it in the papers, you read it every day. The riots and the fire going on in South LA. The muggers and the government, they're all wanting the same thing.
Hello.
Hey, hey.
Hello.
I like the new logo.
You like it, right?
I like the new intro screen, man.
Yeah.
I was
updated.
working on that today. You know, got the orange kind of blue thing going. You know, Scott and his wife, Finn, put the logo together with pretty much what we had and added some other stuff. We had the comet and the stars and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
that came out pretty good. It came out pretty good. So
Yeah.
I put the beginning together again and cleaned it up a little bit. And there you go. Then we got a new opening. We got a new closing. You know, we got a new setting up the show. So both shows that started 2 different times don't have the same time we start. One of them was an hour late. One of them was on time.
But they both finished.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, we always finish late. That's not a problem. We don't have that problem. But we actually started talking about the importance of calibration frames, and that was supposed to be the topic on Monday night, and that apparently was very short-lived because of some technical difficulties on my side. So apologies to our viewers about that. But I figured we'd continue the conversation tonight since we have a little bit more time and it's a little bit later, and we'd start there. But before we get into that, I just want to let everybody know that midnight tonight is the deadline for all the submissions for the Sun Sky Challenge. So make sure you get them in. Jason, thank you for putting the website and the email on underneath me. So send your info there. If you could send it in XISF, that would be great. And we'll check them out during the rest of this week. And next week will be the crowning of the winner of first, second, and third place of what do we got? We got Rob Breacher, 1 hour and $100 to Camera Concepts for first place. Second place, we have $100 to Explore Scientific. And third place, we have a standalone 1 hour Ron Breacher coming in at third place. So there's a lot of cool prizes out there. Get your submissions in, and we'll take a look at them this week and crown the winner and the first, second, third place next week.
There you go. Exciting. Exciting stuff. So
yeah. So
how many? Any idea? How many entries have you seen so far, man? Yeah, how many entries?
So we have had 13 donors.
Okay.
Okay. We had 13 donors. We have 4 submissions.
So far.
So far.
So only one of you right now is going to lose. Sorry, I mean, so you got 3 more hours to send it in. So you know, send them in, and we'll crown the 3 prize winners on Wednesday, and I'll send the emails to the proper people so you could get your either vouchers and or certificates from the people that won.
Nice.
So, yep.
So once we get done with this, you were thinking what? Etta Karina? what's going to be?
That's what I'm thinking right now.
Next? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. That's heading up nice high in the sky in the southern hemisphere right about now. So we're going to be taking donations for Edda Carine starting ASAP. May as well do it starting tonight. Because we got a week to go. I mean, we're not taking any more, but we're going to be doing it not with Telescope Live. We're going to be doing it with iTelescope. We're going to try them out.
Okay.
I spoke to Dr. Christian Sass over at iTelescope, and he's more than welcome to have us. And he's loving it. He loves the idea, and we'll see what we can do. So donations are there. Same rules as the first one. So if you don't know the rules, basically we're going to take enough donations. At least to get us at least 5 hours of data. So that's about an hour and 40 minutes on each filter if we're doing narrowband, or 1 hour each LRGB if we're doing just LRGB. But just think about it. I'm only talking about 1 hour each, but you got to remember, we're shooting from like a Bortle 2 sky. So we're shooting from somewhere in the middle of Chile somewhere, and it's super dark there. So the resolution and the camera and the telescope that we're going to be using is going to be just completely awesome. So it's a chance to get data from usually some objects that we don't get get a chance to see from the northern hemisphere, and that's the whole point of this thing. So instead of taking a flight to South America or somewhere south of the equator, we figured we pool all our money together. All the money and donations goes towards time, and I post all the financial information on the website. So just to for pure transparency, so everybody knows what's going on. So that's it. So if we get 5 to 6 hours. We did 6.5 hours. We got 6.5 hours of the tarantula, and I gotta send you guys the pictures. I'll do that probably either tomorrow or the next night, and so you guys could kind of fess through it. Maybe we could have like a conference call on before the show, and talk about the winner.
That's cool.
Or winners.
Yeah, we can set up and air them through here. So if you want, I can get it set up. I'll show them on here. We can do it privately without broadcasting.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Excellent.
We got Tom Bramwell, who was very proud to announce that he was first. Tom shows up every week, man. I love that guy. He shows up every week, and it's great. So for those of you guys who don't know Tom, he is in charge of Prima Luce Lab North America. So he's if you got any questions about Eagle, throw him up there. Mark said, "Guess you're on now, or is this Memorex?" No, Mark, we're actually on now.
I'm running a show, Mark. It's on.
It's on.
Really?
Wow.
Really? You had to go there, man.
You didn't even call for
I
tech support.
had two shows. I had 2 shows under my belt, and it went fine. And then the third one just hit the crapper. I mean,
That's usually how it happens.
I don't know what happened. It literally, like for the first half hour, we were just trying to get logged in. It was just horrible.
But you survived.
Yes, we did.
Frank wants to know if we
can
can.
coming in at like the 13th hour, just hopping in really fast just to chime in.
I know. All of a sudden, Eric showed up like 1 minute before we're on. Oh, there's Eric. There he is.
How time you shows
Bye.
up.
Bye.
Bye.
Go back and watch replay, Eric.
Yeah.
I
All
wasn't
right,
much
so
better.
I guess. That being said, I mean, oh man, I've been taking shots. I've been doing a lot of imaging on Markarian's chain.
Okay.
I did it last summer, but I was only able to get like, I think it was like 2 hours of data on it. and I didn't have my pier up, so I only did it when I went to the beach. But now that I got my pier up, Marcarian's chain, once sunset hits, I have about 2 to 3 hours that I can get imaging of it until it goes behind this stupid tree that I want to cut down. But so I do 3 hours on that, and then I've been jumping to M13.
Okay.
And I've been doing that because I really don't have an awesome picture of that, and I want to get that a little bit better. And I've also been doing the Leo trio too. So
Okay.
bunch of staples,
What about
nothing crazy, nothing like. Anybody else?
Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Just pretty much the
Nothing crazy.
Some of the staples of of springtime galaxy season. Marcarian's chain. Leo.
Yeah,
Scott,
what I'm
about
looking
you?
forward to. What I'm looking forward to. What is it? Next year. Yeah, Scott's not doing anything. But
He can. He's sub mount right now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. He's without a mount.
Yeah.
Well, no. He is not without a mount. He has a mount. He has a good mount.
Yeah.
Except
But I've got a really
that's
heavy
kind of
rig.
like. Yeah, it's kind of like putting like a 2-ton elephant on a little mouse.
Yeah.
Mark said he finished his LRGB on the whale and the hockey stick, and his
Nice.
first round of HA, S2, and O3 on the Cygnus wall. So
Okay.
Cygnus wall is pretty cool. I actually did. Well, I didn't really do the Cygnus wall in itself, but I did the NGC 7000, which is where the Cygnus wall is.
America. North
It's
America.
it's in the North American. Yeah, it's in the North American nebula. So I saw what he has so far, and it looks pretty good. Why is this doing this? Why is it shutting? I don't understand why the light's
Battery
shutting
die
off.
in the.
No, the
Why
battery's
did
Every night.
no, the battery. The
They're being
battery's
late.
fine. I think.
Did you
I don't
did
know.
you pay the battery bill? Did you pay the bill? You pay the electric bill?
I don't pay bills.
He leaves that to the CFO.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty much.
she's in there. She's inside there over there. But what about you, Jay? I know you haven't had a chance to do anything either, right?
I've had time to do it. I just haven't had time to process any of the stuff, so I don't want to be gathering a ton more data that I don't have time to touch.
Just
I
gather
kind of-
all the data. Just keep on doing it.
Well, at this
Seriously,
point,
just
I'm going to have to
gather
start
the data.
subbing stuff out and sending stuff to all you guys and have you process the data, because I don't know that I'm going to have time to get to it in the very near future, which is a good
That's
problem
okay.
for me.
We all need the practice. We all need the practice. It's okay.
What I should do is start taking donations, and I'll just send it to our viewers and let them do it.
There you go. That might
They
work.
could buy my Bortle 6 data from Mesa, Arizona, and process all they want.
Yeah, we could throw it up on a website and put a donate button on there. But hell, that's what I remember. I still remember, what was it? Actually, me and Eric had like the same weather. The hell?
You got to get a light that.
I think it's overheating.
Batteries.
It is plugged
You
in.
need a lumen
It's plugged
cube.
in.
You need a lumen cube. Is that a lumen cube or something?
It's a
That
lumen
is-
cube.
that's
It's
a
a
lumen
lumen
cube.
cube.
Well,
And
it
it's
shouldn't be
plugged in.
overheating then. It shouldn't be
So,
overheating.
I mean, because mine's
Only
plugged
the-
in and it's right here doing the same thing, but it's not shutting itself
I don't
off.
know. I got a lemon. It's just a story of my life. This is what my life has been like the past 3 days. But
No,
What-
I'm
yeah,
hoping.
what I was saying.
I'm hoping tomorrow night to grab
Not too bad weather.
tomorrow and Friday.
Last week we had decent weather.
Oh, you guys are stepping on each other.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
we're stumbling. Sorry.
I'm hoping to do a little bit of imaging Thursday and Friday. I've got my brother-in-law coming in to help move the mother-in-law up to Utah. So he's bringing my 14-year-old nephew. So I'm going to set the scope up and take some images and hopefully process a little bit, at least get it roughed in that they can see it before they leave Saturday morning.
Yeah. I mean, I keep on remembering, Eric, and you'll remember this, when we had like, you had like a whole week of clear weather, and then I had the week after you because you're in the Chicago area. I mean, and it literally, although it just worked perfectly, where everything in the Northeast, from the central to the Northeast, just was perfectly clear. We got like, oh man, I got like 30 hours of the Pelican Nebula and the Heart Nebula, and I was going on the same object. I was like, go, just go. It's like a horse race. I'm like, go. And I got all the data. I said, and you know, and that picture came. I love the way that picture came out. That picture came out awesome. But hell, I mean, you know, as long as you get the data and just be done with it, process it later. You know, because you know, Jason, I'm sorry, we're not all like you and your skies where you this. So I'm working without a light right now. So that being said.
Oh my God.
You know, it's kind of like just get the data so you can get it so you can process it later because, you know, like I was saying, we're not like Jason where he has 300. Oh, I didn't want to see that.
So this is all what I'm waiting for to process on the 152.
Wow.
And this is all just this year from the 140. None of it's been processed.
Wow.
Yeah, I can pretty much guarantee you that would make me nuts.
And then I still have leftovers in here that hasn't been processed
yet. Oh my God.
Yet. And I mean, and all of this stuff, let me go back into
and how much time is that?
Oh, like, there's easily
like
150 hours. My normal imaging sequence for each of these before I got into RGB was usually about 10 to 15 hours. Some of my longer ones were 30 hours.
Yep.
But like, that one's empty for some reason. So there's 30 900-second images, just lights.
Wow.
From the 2600 that I need to process. You know, and I've got lots of those. Some of
get cracking. Get cracking, man.
Got to find all the time, you know. And here's 533.
Well,
50 images at 5 minutes each.
Sleeping anyway because you know it's going to spend like 2 hours going through WBPP.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But that's the stuff that I still got to get through and process.
You got a lot of data there, man.
Well, and that's why I'm like, do I really want to take and get more data that I haven't even touched? Probably close to 600 gig worth of data. That's just sitting there between flats and lights. You know, all of my.
And that's what happens
files.
when you have like 200 clear nights a year. That's what happens.
We don't do daylight savings time because we don't need to save it.
Right. You know, they're talking about in New York getting rid of it.
I would highly applaud if the entire country would just join us and get rid of it entirely. At one point, parts of Illinois and Indianapolis had where they didn't change daylight savings, and then they finally gave up and went to the rest of the region. We're holding our ground.
Right.
We don't need it. We're not saving it. Let it go.
Yeah, they did that for a little while in the Chicagoland area. We didn't do it where I live. You know, we still stuck with daylight savings time. We're in, and I don't know really why. Yes, we're in a rural, I'm in a rural area, agriculture. You know, a lot of farms and stuff like that. But we still don't. You really don't need it though. I mean, there was a real purpose for it back in the day, but there's really no need for it.
Well, farmers are all computerized and mechanized now.
Yeah, exactly.
I did a show a couple years ago for John Deere and looking at the cockpit of these farming hardware, and it's like holy
combines.
Crap! And I mean they've got laser and GPS, and I mean they get in, they have a route already mapped, and the tractor just does its job. And they've got it with some of the big, like the combines, that the trucks that are taking the offload are weighing, and when they weigh out, it's pulling up and speeding up the next truck. That the guy or the device shooting the material pauses for a half second. One truck pulls out, the other one pulls in. Boom! Starts right back in lockstep and takes off. It's like, holy cow!
Wow.
Breadbasket of the world.
Yep. I learn about a lot of it because I do the Iowa State Fair, and they do a lot of farming up there.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I am, the 152 is leaving the stable. So
go fly.
I've had some. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I've tried my best, but I've gotten to a point where I can't get flat, fields. And also, the CFO, she's saying, she keeps telling me, no, this isn't going to happen. Forget about it. It ain't happening. So, I reached out, so I have to let it go. So it is what it is,
right.
It is what it is.
Yep.
But I was able to grab some data from M106, but I haven't, like you, I haven't processed it yet. So I'm kind of curious on how it turns out. But if not, but I've still got my William Optics refractor here, the 126. So I'll put it up for a little while and that's what I was using for Galaxy beforehand. So I'll just use it until I can, I guess, what is it, September, October, Celestron will start having more stock of Edge HDs. Maybe it's September, October.
December, maybe January.
If you're lucky.
Yeah,
if you're
next
lucky.
year, man.
Yeah, it
Probably first quarter.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see.
I'll tell you this, camera.
Maybe give myself a late Christmas present. Who knows?
Yeah, Camera Concepts is getting a shipment from Celestron tomorrow. A big, like 3 or 4 pallets of stuff. What? Yeah, it's all the backlogs.
These are all the backlogs.
Yeah, it's well, it's not all backlogs. It's backlogs plus extra.
Okay.
But it's to the point. But these are things that were ordered in, I guess, October.
January. Oh, October. Holy
No,
God.
October. Yeah. So this includes, obviously, and it also includes my Skywatcher Esprit that's coming, which I'm going to end up also saying goodbye to. Like maybe your Win 52 and my Esprit will go hang out together somewhere. But
you're going off to a better place.
Yeah, you know what? And I was thinking about what you guys said last week because of the conundrum that I have between the 127 FCD 100 and the Esprit 120. And you know what? And I thought, you know what? I've had the 127 before in the Essential, not the carbon fiber, which is what this is, and not the FCD 100, which this is. And I think you're right about the extra 12 millimeters that I'll get out of it. Go with the reach, and I think the glass is going to be very comparable to the Esprit glass. So we'll see.
It'll be worth it.
Yeah, I would always.
I'm waiting on. Yeah, I'm just waiting. I think next week another lovely $200 Precise Parts adapter is going to be coming in, and that'll go on here, and I'll slap the Asato on here, and that's it.
Okay.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Now, question: since with these 127s, do I still have to add all those spacers in the back of this? It's still the same. So you got. So I need to have at least about. I think that's about because those spacers I think are 30 millimeters across.
At least, yeah.
And so that would be 60 millimeters, about 60 to 80, somewhere in that area.
Yep.
That I'll need to pull that out because I'll have to think about that for a second because I'll have to. Now I'm going to need more adapters to fit the precise parts. I can't.
I think you're single-handedly keeping precise parts in business.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. I got like a whole little. I actually had to buy another container from the Container Store just to put all the precise parts crap in there, and that's what I have. And I don't even know what they are because, of course, I didn't label them when I threw them in there, so I don't even know what they fit. I'd have to measure them all again. No. Normal people would put like a tag on it or something with a string.
Yep.
No, I didn't do that.
No.
Just alerted my broker on another 1,000 shares of precise parts.
Well, Eric, you were talking about
I don't know.
The 152 and struggling with it. So that's my Christmas tree nebula.
The Christmas tree nebula.
That's all with the 152 and the 2600.
I'm jealous.
Is that the mono?
No, that was with the 6200. One-shot color using the L Pro.
Oh,
that is really nice. So you were able to get some processing done, but it's just,
But if you look at the date, this is back in December.
That was processed like last Christmas.
That was oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was December 15th is the last day of imaging. I probably had it done right before Christmas.
Right.
Yeah, I remember when you did that.
Actually, yeah, that's actually one of my favorite nebulae. The Christmas tree and the Cone Nebulae, and you got the Phosphor right there.
Phosphor.
It's it's one of my favorites.
That's with the L Pro, right?
Yeah, that was
the
all L Pro.
All L Pro.
So it was 3 nights, roughly 10 hours a night.
Mm-hmm.
10 hours a night?
Well, because it was December, so...
In December, yeah.
We start imaging at 6 and daylight at about 6.
Yeah, so you get all that time.
That's crazy.
So I think I was imaging basically like 6:30 to about 4:30 or 5. And then I'd pull the data off and shut it off and park the scope and cover everything up. And then once it was all done on the 3rd day, on the 15th, then I finally went and did flats and made sure all the calibration files all worked. But it was all pre-done in APP and then processed in PI.
Yeah, the picture behind me, that's the one I gave my wife. That Heart Nebula.
Yeah, the Heart.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that's 45 hours, I think it was?
No, 26.2.
Okay.
26.2. Yeah, I mean, it's 26.2 over 6 months though. So because I started it in like November like I didn't finish it until like February. It was supposed to be a Valentine's Day present. That didn't happen. So it was like late March, and I got it to her for like Memorial Day. So it was like 8 months of work just to get this done. Tom said, "Nice Christmas tree."
Thank you. Speaking of Tom, we have to give you an attaboy, man. Being able to have your company completely caught up with domestic U.S. is amazing.
Yeah,
That's
finally.
Off to you and the team. That's awesome.
Yeah, not back. No back orders left. They're all stocked. Everything is stocked over at
Out the door.
North America. Go get it. He's got stock and everything, and He's got LEs, I believe. I believe he's got LEs. So if you want LEs,
nice.
Go get your LE. $8.95, I think it is. Go grab it.
Well, I think you got like get 8 in.
Well, we got one at Camera Concepts, so that one of them's gone, so now it's 7.
Okay.
So that's going to be on next.
I believe he posted it, and a carrier over in the West Coast gobbled up everything he had left.
Yeah. I heard. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I'm actually gonna be field testing the LE to kind of see how it works out. As far as running a system.
He has 12 of the LEs left. Sold 15.
Unbelievable.
Now see,
so you had 27.
He's already sold 15. Nice.
Yep.
Easy
well,
man.
And the thing is, that's at the price point that if I was working steadily and had cash flow right now, I'd probably get that just to get in to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because it's at a point that I could do that. I'm just not at a financial point to do that at this juncture.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what, Jason? I think we all know you here, and we know that you're not going to be happy with that. You need the pro.
It's not that I won't be happy. It's just more work
no,
than
you
this
won't
lazy
be
man's
happy.
used to.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So you still won't be happy with it. I'll tell you.
Like
oh no, your son's grumpy like you.
Sure. It's all in the wash.
So do you guys want to talk about some calibration issues and calibration frames and stuff like that? Because that's kind of one of the things that we were started to talk about on Monday, and we didn't get to all the points that I really wanted to get to because of the technical issues, and we're running in we have about an hour left. But maybe we could kind of talk a little bit and do a little round robin. I guess we could start with dark frames. And Eric, I don't know, maybe since you're on the top right, we'll go in counterclock, a regular clockwise motion here, and and we'll start with Eric. And then why don't you give us a little history on dark frames and what they could do for you, kind of.
Well, with dark frames, it's probably your most basic and easiest of the calibration frames, probably next to a bias or a dark flat. It's simply you're helping deal with the thermal read noise and that you're getting when you're taking your lights and you're trying to cancel all that out. And it's very simple to do dark frames. It's simply putting on your the cap of your telescope, putting the lens cap over your telescope or your back on, and running the same exposure of your light. So if you were running 600-second exposures of of light, you would do a certain number of dark frames at that same time, so the same exposure time and the same gain, and you want to have the same temperature settings. So you want to have everything match what you did with your lights. You just put the lens cap on. And usually for myself, I will do somewhere around between 30 and 40 dark frames for my particular sessions or my particular, and it works out fine for me. But if you're doing, like, say, a monochrome LRGB or anything like that, just remember it doesn't matter as far as, what filter you're using, because if they're all the same times, that's great. If you're doing any narrowband, it's a little bit longer. You need to match that up. Those lights, you have to have the same number of exposure time on your dark frames for that, and same gain, like I was saying before, and same temperature. But besides that, with one-shot colors or anything like that, it's pretty much the same. Exposure speed, exposure time and stuff like that, not speed. But they're probably the easiest of calibration frames you can do. So just put the cap on and take about 20, 30 or 40 of them, and call it good. And they'll definitely help, dealing with helping cancel out that read noise and that thermal noise that you're dealing with. That all sensors and cameras going to give you, so it helps out a lot.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And if you want to take a look and see what a dark frame looks like, Jay, I don't know if you got us up. Yeah, you do have it up.
Yep, you're up.
Okay. Just to give you an example of what a dark frame looks like. Now, this is basically exactly like Eric said, and this is a picture of the thermal noise, not only the thermal noise, but any hot pixels that you may have. Now, this guy on the left here, this is one 600-second dark frame with the lens cap on, and I'm just taking a picture of the hot pixels, dead pixels, and thermal noise. So if I zoom in on the left, you can start seeing all that thermal noise and all these white specks. Those are all hot pixels. Every camera's going to have them. So you don't want any of these pixels to be mistaken as stars. So, like Eric said before, you want to minus this out of your frames so it doesn't get confused. And this is, remember, only one 600-second or 10-minute frame. Okay? On the right, same 10-minute frame, but now I got 50 of them. Now take a look at the difference between the amount of hot pixels here and the amount of hot pixels here. Oh my God, I'm filled with hot pixels here, right? Okay? But again, that's just a little bit amount of pixels compared to every single one of this block is a pixel. Everyone's a pixel. Only these white ones are the ones you're worried about.
Right.
And as you take them out, and then you got here up top on the left, I got some amp glow on the top left. Okay, so
and
that's
having,
really,
and even
really
with amp glow,
important.
that'll help there too. You know, Dan is to cancel that and subtract that away. You know, your amp glow. You having those doing these dark frames and building up that master dark, it'll help cancel that out as well.
Mm-hmm.
It all gets calibrated.
Absolutely. And if you're lucky enough to have one of those back illuminated cameras like the 533 that doesn't have the amp glow, then you won't have that nice. There's like a sunburst usually, like right around here on the ZWO cameras that comes out to like here, and that's amp glow for CMOS cameras. So that takes out of. Go ahead.
No, one thing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump. I wanted to jump in and I thought about a couple more things. Some people always, there was people back in, when I even asked this question is when you take your dark frames or when's the best time to take dark frame, stuff like that. Well, usually you would build sometime. I'll recommend building what we call a dark library. And you can do this usually on a cloudy night or a cloudy day, where you would take your camera, put the cap on, so say, for example, I've got one of my, my cameras here. I'll put the cap over the camera and power it up. I'll set the temperature, and I will take a whole series of, 30-second or 40-second, not 30, 40, 30 or 40 of these dark frames for different exposure times. So I would do, over the course of, a day, if I'm not able to do any imaging or anything like that, I will just do an entire library of dark calibration frames. And what's cool about this is that you can hold on to these dark calibration frames. They usually can last you for most times, maybe about half a year, between 3 months to half a year. So you don't always have to redo it, and you don't have to do it immediately after your imaging session. So you can get ahead of the game and create these libraries just choose, pretty common exposure times, 30 seconds, 60, 120, what have you, up to whatever you want to do, and just have them all. I even put my camera, I power it all up, turn the fan on, and I stick it into my beer fridge. And that helps, reduce that, get cool down that sensor. And I just run an entire series of, and it'll be like 14, 15 hours worth of different, exposure times of dark frames. So that's another thing you might want to think about is if you are, if you have the time, and you're just wondering what can I do, because if it's a cloudy day or something like that, because I can't go out imaging. If you haven't yet already, make a bunch, just make a bunch of dark frames, just have your camera, go and build that library up.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one caveat to what Eric was talking about regarding dark frames and them. They don't have to be the same exact exposure time that you are shooting.
Oh, really?
There is... Well, no, they have to be at least that time. You can take, if it's PixInsight and you're using PixInsight, you can take an advantage of a process called optimizing your darks.
Okay.
And as long as your dark frame is longer than your light frame, you could use that for everything as long as it's the same temperature. That is a non-negotiable. It has to be the same temperature. Now, there is a Coke and Pepsi argument here. There really is. So, you got to do what works for you. I find that optimizing my darks works for me, and that's why you saw a 600-second dark. And that's what I use for all my darks. Because I don't shoot longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah, you can't, in that Portal 8, you can't shoot longer than 10 minutes.
Even narrowband, I won't shoot longer than 10 minutes. Number one, my guiding is good, but I don't know if it's that good. I was able to take a really long photo once. I took a 40-minute shot just because to see if I could do it, and I did it, and it worked out great. But that's probably the only time I'll ever do it, just to see if I could do it. But other than that, I usually don't shoot more than 10 minutes. So I made that the maximum. And then I just do yourself a favor, especially with the new WPPP. And I fell into this trap this week. I haven't, same thing as Jason. I had this data. I haven't processed anything in months. And probably I've only processed one project with the new WPPP, to be honest with you. Now, when you're optimizing your darks and you're doing this, you need to make sure that not only your darks are optimized, the checkbox is optimized in your lights in the control panel, but they also need to be checked optimized darks under the dark line in the control panel as well. It has to be done both. It won't work. All of a sudden I saw this walking noise all through my image, and I'm like, what is that? And then I went to the darks and I saw a checkbox. Optimized dark wasn't checked. It was under the lights. It wasn't under the darks. You gotta make sure they're both checked. So there's my dumb moment for the night, and that's exactly.
Well, I was gonna take not that my stuff is all that scientific or whatnot, but I was gonna show my desktop. I went and pulled up 2 different files. So this file. This file right here is from my 533. It's a flat. So I'm using the Spica flat to capture this. It's a 2.5 second flat. Gain 100 on my 533. And then on this side, I've got a dark that I shot with the 1600 mono. Gain 139. So you can see over here, you can see a little bit of the amp glow, but it's a fairly uniform sensor, surprisingly. But you can see kind of the feathering of the light. Where it's real light up in the upper corner here and real dim in the lower corner.
I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that picture that you're highlighting right there, Jason, looks like you're shooting through a screen.
A fence.
Like a window screen.
It does.
Like you're shooting
or
through
fence.
a fence.
Yeah. Yep.
And the weird thing
looks like lattice fence, yeah.
Yep.
I haven't well, this is the monkey head darks that you processed for me, Dan. So this is one of the darks from that catalog. But again, I haven't went through a lot of this. I did go through to make sure that there was no errant light bleed from imaging train. But this was darks that were taken during daylight, but with a blackout shroud that I'm building to black out all ambient light, and it was sealed around the dew shield. So, but I was just showing. I don't have a great example of amp glow because all of the cameras that I physically own are all the new BSI sensors. So the 533 and the 2600 don't have any amp glow, so I don't have that to show off. But
yeah, so I know, Jason, you and I were talking about offline regarding, and this is a good segue to flats for a second. Taking flats during the daytime. I know you and I have been talking about it, and the issues that can happen with taking flats during the daytime. Why don't you tell us what you found out with your experiences and what you came up with on how to take flats during the daytime?
So one of the things that I've always struggled with, because I image throughout the entire night, and when it's a bad night, I tend to, usually bad nights here mean that it's going to rain. So I don't want to chance running a set of flats or whatever if it's going to be bad weather. And because I typically leave the scope underneath a Telegizmos 360, I don't tend to pull the scope in, because then it's quicker to restart my imaging nights when I do get out there and image. So what I did is I've developed a blackout shroud that goes over top of a spica flat. And I did that because it's seemingly the most popular piece of hardware. I've currently only designed mine to go over the 12-inch because I'm in some communications with them have found that that's primarily what they sell. Very few people, I'm sure even... what are you using, Scott, for your flats?
Well, I'm hoping to get an Artesky 550, the 550 millimeter. That's the smallest one that they have for a 16-inch opening. It's a 14-inch mirror, but the dew shield is 16 inches in diameter. So I need something, and the 550 is the only one that'll work. And it
goes, and they'll make bigger ones if you call them. Yeah, they do. Yep.
I think the Artesky
You're gonna pay for
it, but 600. I think it's 600. Yeah,
yep, that's about right.
I'm looking at it right now. It's $640. But that is for the USB driven one, flat box, flat field illuminating panel.
Yeah, the Artesky is one of the ones. I think there's only 6, if I remember right, flat panels that are compatible with ASCOM drivers. So that being, so there's Artesky's one of them. Spica Flat's one. Pegasus Flatmaster is another.
Yeah.
And I'm missing. I know I'm missing a couple. I know there's more on the list, but those are the ones that come to mind. Are there good Newmans in there? Because I didn't think they were in there. The Auroras. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another one that does that too. There's another one that does that too with a flat that doubles as a dew cap, and I forget what company that was. It wasn't the Gerd Newman; it was somebody else. So I think it was like Optech maybe or something like that, or no, it started with an A. It was Altec or I don't know, whatever. Jason, you're muted.
There, now I'm not.
It's the Altanec Flatman. Thank you, Tom. Altanec.
Yeah, the Flatman. Yeah.
So, kind of circling back to what I was talking about with the Flatmaster, one of the things that I was fighting with was not being able, or the Spica Flat, was not being able to do my flats during daylight. So I wanted to black it out so that I didn't have any ambient light spill changing the metric that's being measured. And I'm using the ASI Air, so it has its own that takes and figures out the metric that it wants. I have still kind of gravitated to the 40 to 50% of your total ADU value. So because of the cameras I run, they all go to 65K. So I tend to run most of my flats at about 25 to 27,000 ADU value. I'm manually doing that, but I like having that Spica Flat because I can adjust the light levels and save it through the software. So all I have to do is recall for each of the filters that I'm doing and be able to manually set those off. It's pretty easy to do. You can do more of it with ASCOM drivers and using the Eagle and automate that a little bit more than what I'm doing. But the caveat then becomes, even once I take and eliminate all the ambient light spill going onto the Spica Flat, I have to also eliminate the amount of light that can get into the imaging train. So I've built a shroud for my specific imaging trains that I use to basically go around from the focus tube, the draw tube on the focuser, all the way to just above the ventilation for the cooling fans on the camera. And they basically, it's a drawstring that goes around both, or Velcro, depending on the setup that I have. And it blacks out that entire imaging train so that I don't have to worry about light leak from there in my filter drawers and things like that a lot of people complain about. And for the most part, my experience has been that it's been uniform enough and reliable enough that I don't have to deal with pulling the whole rig in, having some place to set it to do my flats. And I've gotten fairly good results. I've sent to other people to look at to check me. They're far smarter than I am. A couple of them I think I even sent to Dan and Eric. And Simon went through a lot of my images until I came up with a good value. But that's primarily what I've been doing. I don't want to show off the cover yet because I'm toying with maybe patenting it for resale eventually. But that's.
I was going to ask you. I know there's a picture out there, so.
Yeah, I haven't published the picture.
You're muted again.
No, what I was going to say is to jump in on flats, especially for beginners. Just a heads up. Whenever you break down your imaging train and you reassemble, you have to retake flats. If you normally keep your imaging train, that means your camera, filter wheel, if you have an off-axis guide or whatever, and it's all still connected and it stays on your scope, you're usually fine, because anytime, you have to think about when you're doing flats, why are you doing flats? You're doing flats to get rid of, one thing is artifacts and dust bunnies and things like that. So if you're breaking down your imaging train every so often, you have to remember, whenever I do, you have another imaging session, anything like that, you're going to have to redo those flats. Now, if you keep everything together, Dan, I know you a lot of the time, you keep your imaging train together, and
Yep.
You can do a set of flats, and that set of flats can last you for almost as long as maybe your dark library. As long as you don't break down your equipment. But the moment you break down that equipment or introduce anything new, or you taking things apart, you got to start from square one all over again.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I would like to know about you, with you guys, I have a spiker flat myself, just like you, Jason. Do you guys go off and do what they call the T-shirt method? Or do you guys just go with putting your flat panel onto your scope, and taking your flats directly from your light source without having any type of filtering, from a T-shirt or anything like that?
So what I ended up doing is I shopped around on Amazon, and especially as I got into doing the one shot or the mono and working with the different filters, especially LRGB, the luminance and red tend to allow the most amount of light through. So even at the lowest setting on the Spica flat, I wasn't able to get it low enough to get to my ADU value. So I bought some 55% transparent milk glass. It's actually a lucite or a plastic membrane, and it only lets 55% of the light through. So I use that basically as a light filter to dim the light but keep it uniform. And was able to get it to where I could do like a value of 10 out of the 1024 to be able to do my lowest value. So I've actually physically mounted that to the Spica flat to take and accommodate my particular setup. But
okay, Scott.
I don't do the.
Scott's grabbing something here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I realized it was crinkling in your ears, so I muted you. I have a picture. Jason, I just have to hit the share screen, right?
Yep. Then you should be able to tell it which screen you're sharing.
Open system preferences. Lord have mercy.
And for those who don't know, why do you filter or use a T-shirt or use some sort of a filter on your light panels?
Most people are using it because the brightness is too bright. For those people that do sky flats, it's the poor man's version of being able to diffuse the light to make sure that you're not getting hot spots.
Correct.
The T-shirt method is viable, but not highly recommended. Only because wrinkles and stuff like that will tend to show a gradient line, just in the nature of what it is.
Yep.
So it's not highly scientific. Will it work most times? Absolutely. Would I highly recommend it? Which is why I went to the 55% great transparent melt glass, because then I'm at least filtering it uniformly across the entire acrylic. And then you can stack multiples of those if you need more diffusion. But I use the white so that I don't have any tint or anything to it, which will alter the end result.
Okay. I'll have to we'll have to chat a little bit offline. I like to get that link from off of Amazon from you, because I still use the T-shirt method, even with my Spica flat. So, and I do suffer every once in a while. I don't suffer from the wrinkles or anything like that, but I do see some changes every once in a while. And you can. And one of the biggest goals of doing these flat calibration frames is to have everything as uniform as possible.
Yep.
So using T-shirts and like that, to your point, it doesn't keep things that way.
It's hard to be consistent.
Yes, it's very hard to be consistent.
All right.
Scott, what do you?
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can't. Google Chrome has screwed me up something terrible. I'd have to switch to my other browser. I can't get it to share. It's locking me out. So no big deal. I use the T-shirt. I've used the T-shirt method in the past in stretching a nice big T-shirt over the front of the OTA, and then I have I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's see. I'm gonna turn that on. Can you see that back here?
Yep.
That is a color corrected LED flat panel that I use for the studio. Right? And it's actually what's lighting me here. I've got another one that's lighting me right here, and I can adjust that, color corrected, and it's dimmable and so on and so forth. It's not perfect for this application. However, it has proven to be effective in the past. What I did is some of the flash flashes that I have, different diffusers and things, like on my beauty dishes, right? I've got these diffusers, right, that go over that beauty dish to kind of diffuse it out, and these are photo grade, they're meant for flash. They're nice and stretchy, and this one here, 18 inches, it'll go right over the top of that light back there. It'll stretch right over the top of it, and it'll diffuse right out, perfectly. And then I just stretch my T-shirt over the front of the OTA, and put the light right up next to the OTA, and take my flats. Now, is it optimal? Of course not. No, it's in comparison to using a flat panel, it's a pain in the butt. Unfortunately though, I can't get a flat panel right now. They're all out of stock. Yeah. I would buy one today if I could find one.
Well, I can get you a Pegasus one, but that won't fit your 14-inch, so I can't help you with that.
I'm fairly certain they have the larger Spica flats in stock directly on their site.
Really?
If you're willing to look at it, but because when I ordered mine, I had it in like 4 days.
I have to
They're
send me
based
the
out
link
of
to it.
Minneapolis or Wisconsin area.
Yep,
Upper
yep,
Midwest.
they're up there.
Yeah,
Chris
send me the link
Fearskin
to
is
it. I'll check it
online.
out.
Yeah, Chris Fearskin. If you haven't checked out his stuff, he's been taking some really, really cool photos recently. I've been following him on Facebook. If you haven't checked him out on Facebook, check him out. He said he uses a tracing panel, which a lot of people actually use.
I started
which
with
also
that.
has, yeah, a lot of people start with that. What was that?
He's also using neutral density filters.
Yep.
To help deal with the brightness.
I tried to be careful with that because most of the ND usually has some form of a color tint.
Yeah, it does.
It depends on what you get and who you get it from, of course. But I just tried to avoid the ND filters just because I didn't want to color cast, especially shooting one-shot color. It's kind of imperative.
Well, if you haven't
but
seen any of,
go ahead.
go ahead. All right. Well, if you've seen any of Chris's photos, the recent ones that he's thrown up, I mean, if he's using that tracing panel, they look great. So keep on. Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
Exactly.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, and one of the hacks that I do want to share with you guys, if you're willing to sneak out to the craft store and not get the wife jealous, somebody had posted a pretty cool little hack of using an embroidery loom. You know, your grandma or mom used to use to sit there and do their embroidery. You get it a little bit bigger than your OTA. You put your fabric across it, whether it's a t-shirt or you buy white cotton or muslin, whatever. Stretch it through there. You won't get the wrinkles. It keeps it uniformly stretched. You just lay it right over top of your OTA, point straight up and down. It's a decent solution, and if you're using the flat panel, it's a convenient way to set the flat panel on it and use the diffusion of the shirts. And because of the spring tension, you can actually get a decent amount of thickness, 2-3 layers of shirt or fabric to get the amount of diffusion that you need. So.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
So let me throw this question out to the group then. About taking the flats during the daytime. Now, most of us aren't as lucky as Jason or have the wherewithal to kind of make their own light panel shroud that he decided to make. But if you guys have taken flats during the daytime, have you seen a marked difference, let's say, in your flats as opposed to taking them at nighttime?
I did. That's part of why I made the shroud, because especially most of my OTAs that I'm dealing with, the largest that I've dealt with is the 152, so it's like an 8 inch. When you put a 12-inch dome and that ambient light hits in the dome and comes back out, I was 2,000 to 5,000 ADU different than when I shrouded it out, and it changed as the clouds came over or whatever, which is why I had to come up with a solution to more safely be able to perform this task, because my solution was to throw a blackout tarp over it or a blanket, and then the light panel falls off and then you're damaging your gear. And I had to come up with a solution that didn't do that didn't cost me more money than I'd already invested in having the hardware.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, even when I was I've been having some mad issues with my Loom Cube, apparently.
With your Loom Cube tonight.
Yeah. But it's not one thing. It's diffused nicely, though. I'm telling you, this little plastic thing, it looks pretty nice. It doesn't hurt my eyes. But it doesn't stay on either, so that don't help. But that being said, I mean, I saw a big issue with I was getting all this I don't know where this ambient light was coming from, but it was going. I put, just like Mark Ellis was talking about in the chat, where I took my telescope and I pointed it straight up, laid the flat panel on top, just laid it on top of the dew shield. Boom. Took my flats. Let me tell you, these flats were a mess. They were a complete mess. I was doing it in the middle of the daytime, 12 o'clock. I figured, you know what? let me just put it on top. It's going to block anything out. What's going to happen? Man, I did a stack of M13 with those flats, and I swear it was like daylight all around the sides of M13, and just M13 was like in the middle. That's the only thing I could see. Everything else was white, and it was just a mess. It was a mess.
Scott dropped. Yeah, he got dropped. So
yeah, Scott dropped out. He's like, "Can you reload?"
Yeah, he just messaged.
I can't reload him.
Yeah, he's got to reconnect.
Yeah, it's reconnect, Scott.
Yeah. Rob Bean said no difference day or night. I mean, listen, I don't know what it is. Maybe it was me, but I found out that I haven't taken. I had to redo my flats because I put my Esprit out like almost at the 2-year mark. I was starting to see some dirt and some stuff in between the elements and stuff like that. So I said, let me just send it to them to get a clean collimated little tune-up. I got it in there about 9 days before the 2-year warranty ended, and so I came back. So I had to do all flats different because the dust modes are now hopefully no longer there, and if they're there, they're different ones. But that being said, I started doing flats, and I actually found out that I had to go up in the ADU count to almost 34,000 on the CCD. This is not a CMOS, this is a CCD camera. So, and finally I was able to get it up to a point where there was a dust mode like at 1 o'clock, and there was a dust mode at like 8 o'clock, both on the edges. Now, I can easily crop those out, but I don't want to lose I got a 400 millimeter scope. I don't want to lose that field, so I want to get it as close to the edge as I can. So I took flats for like 3 days. I was trying to figure out the right ADU again, and it turned out to be about 33. It was a lot closer to 50% histogram than I've ever been. And finally I got there, and I was able to get both dust modes out, and everything looks great at about 33,000 and change on the SBIG 8300 and the KF 8300.
And the general rule of thumb, and correct me if I'm wrong, but general rule of thumb has usually been around 50% of your total ADU value. So with the CMOS cameras, it tends to be a little bit less, where the CCDs, of course, more because they're more sensitive. But it's you do need to spend a little bit of time doing trial and error to kind of find where the sweet spot is, kind of like what Dan was doing, to get your best result. And sometimes even what you've been doing isn't going to work, and you're going to chase that one spot until you get enough light in there to get rid of it, to make it a viable calibration frame.
Oh, how about shooting? Somebody's got a Hyperstar out there. So you got a lot of question on flats with a Hyperstar.
I can't speak to it because I've never tried it. Eric? Eric's muted.
Eric's muted?
Yep.
Eric, you're muted. Eric, you're muted.
Okay, sorry.
There.
All right.
There
So
you go.
I have a Rasa, which is basically the same. And I actually have a YouTube video out on my channel, Astro with Eric, on how I do this. I purchased an AstroZap aluminum dew shield for my Rasa, and it's the same one. You can get it. It's also the same configuration for the Hyperstar. It's rigid enough that I'll then use my T-shirt, and I'll hold it down, with a rubber band, tighten it up to make sure there's no wrinkles, and I'll put my flat panel on top of that, shooting it, and it's facing straight up. It's straight vertical, at the zenith, and I just do my flats that way.
Yeah, you're definitely going to need something that extends over your either a Hyperstar or the Rasa with the camera at the front end. You're going to need something that extends that, so you can still use a flat panel and get that light and flood that light. Oh, there you go. There's a
Scott's got one right there with his.
Yeah, this is the size 14. Of the Tommy Lee floor tom that he has going on there. I mean, look at that thing. I could actually. Oh my God.
16
That's
inches,
nuts.
baby.
Dude.
But you see how this has all the right ports, you know, for your cabling, right?
Yep.
So this goes these notches here go over the dovetail, both top and bottom, right? But you've got these nice cabling ports right here, right, and here, right? So they're three sides basically, so you can run your cabling. The nice thing about the AstroZap is, and it's not really well documented, it's not shown very well on their site or anybody's site for that matter. You see these screws? Nowhere on their site in their description does it tell you about these screws. And I was really worried about these. I thought, you know, how the hell am I going to keep from scratching the OTA, right? Well, it doesn't take a lot of insight to figure it out. It took me a little longer, but these are nylon. So
Yeah.
you can tighten these things right straight down onto the OTA, and it won't. They're no bar.
It won't damage your OTA.
No, they won't bar anything, and they're easy to replace and they're cheap as hell.
Yeah. And the lid that comes with this is also really nice. I thought that the cover that Celestron offered was really nice. This thing weighs probably twice as much as the one from Celestron. And it really has a nice blackout on it. So the Hyperstar will fit under this.
Yep.
Right? My Hyperstar will fit, you know, inside this thing. And I put that on there and I can literally black it right out.
Yep.
So
and that's how you get
That
your
thing is
flats.
huge.
You know, your flats or your flats and your darks or your biases and dark flats. You know, because you have to take those dark flats usually right after you take your flats. So.
Dude, all you need right now are 2 sticks, that dew shield, a milk crate, and a corner in New York City, and you're in. You're in. I'm telling you, that's all you need. I'm telling you, it'd be great, man. You just sit there and you just play the drums
One way
all
to pay
day.
for your
it does look like a tom, doesn't it?
It does.
It
Looks like a
really
flute.
does look like a tom.
Yeah, so I'm not a drummer. I'm a
Yeah.
bass player, so I can't do that.
Yeah. So Robert says, you know, he's got the flop. Yeah, I have the floppy. You know, I have that also that almost like leather,
The flexible?
leather, whatever we call it, one.
Yep.
The soft one. And yeah, it doesn't work for this. That's why you have to get that rigid aluminum dew shield, because you need it. You gotta have, you know, you need something to hold that, you know, that flat panel, even if it's a spica flat or tracing panel, whatever, you know, or else it's gonna get, you know, it's gonna bend. So you got to get that aluminum. And they're not that bad. They're not that expensive.
$50 to $60, aren't they?
Yeah,
A little more expensive for your.
Not for that one.
Yeah,
for that
no,
monster,
that what I just
different.
showed you, that's about $400.
Yeah.
Well,
See, yeah.
it costs more than that, and just the aluminum that they had to put into it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. You know, and not to mention the fact that those floppy things are great for, you know, just getting the dew away from your optic. But if you're going to lay a flat panel on it, you can't be 100% sure that flat panel is solidly on top of that dew shield in a way that no ambient light is getting in from the side. So all of a sudden, you may think your flats look great on the picture, and then all of a sudden you make a massive flat, and all of a sudden you got amp glow where it shouldn't be. It's not really amp glow; it's just some stray light coming in.
Some stray light coming
in. Or God forbid the thing buckles on you and it drops your panel onto the concrete.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen. Why is my
that's part of why I made the shroud that I did.
Right.
Because you know, it was actually my tracing pad that took a spill and broke. You know, and I paid like $20 for it. It wasn't that expensive. It worked decently. I was doing the t-shirt method. You know, my wife luckily sews, so I was able to take and have her sew corners on it, and I stretched it over the panel, and it worked. It kept it taut, but again, it wasn't perfect. I couldn't control the light very well, so it wasn't great for me. It wasn't a very strong solution. So I was fortunate enough to be able to get into a Spike-A-Flat that I could then eliminate a lot of that. You know, I borrowed Mark's to play with it for a little bit and decided it was the right path to go down. So I went ahead and bit the bullet and did it. But if you do it, I highly recommend that you get the USB controller with it. Don't do it like I did. Order it and then go, oh crap, I really should have gotten that. And then order it and pay more shipping to get it.
Buy once, cry once.
Exactly. But I was going to show you guys real quick. This is the, and it doesn't have to be this exact one, but this is the hoop that I'm talking about that the embroiders use all the time. You can get them bigger than this. Just this is what they have at this particular store. I don't want to advertise for them, so to speak, but this would be convenient up to like the 8-inch, a little small, of course, for the 11-inch, but the 9 1/4 should fit this close on a 10-inch because it would be 10-inch ID, not OD. But it gives you what you're pursuing if you decide that this is what you want to go after for stretching a t-shirt or a piece of cotton or whatever. So
yeah, and you know, if you are you know, kind of not just creative, but you're handy, you know, you could actually take 2 of those hoops and cannibalize one of them, right? So that you've got just the bamboo or whatever wood they're using, right? And then just about any glass manufacturer out there will be able to cut circles.
Yep.
You just have to ask them for it. And if you're doing plexiglass, it's even easier, right?
Yeah.
So you can tell them, hey, listen, I need a 16-inch round done in the milk glass, right? And you have them cut that, and it'll fit inside that loop. Then you take the cannibalized one and a little bit of Gorilla Glue, and you cut it and literally sandwich that glass right between those two, and there you go. And you set that right on. You're good to go.
done. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Good idea.
So
What do we got anything?
actually, Jay, I can think I can share this screen now.
You say that. We'll see.
Yeah, I switched to Safari.
Okay.
At least I think.
And he's
Right
frozen.
now you're frozen, so.
Of course I am.
Yep, and there he goes again.
Yep. He's back.
Time to buy Threadripper.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not letting me share now. It's just freezing on me. I'm not sure why.
I've never had a ton of success with Firefox. It's always had to be Chrome for some reason.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
not even
the
using
Edge
Firefox.
browser.
This is Safari.
Okay.
Not surprised, even worse.
Yeah, Safari's not supported by vMix Call. You can get in, but you can't do much with it. And it's due to the coding that they use.
I see.
Yeah. The base
Well,
code that they...
Well, I know I was talking with and Eric. I don't know if I haven't spoken to you because I know you work a lot and you sleep a lot. So, but I was thinking about, and I was talking with Scott and even Jason I was speaking to, about doing an AstroWorld kind of star party. Perhaps at Cherry Springs. And
Give me an excuse to get out of the town and go to a dark site. Don't have to tell me. Don't have to ask me twice.
Well, I was looking at the calendar, and I'll share my.
It's all
screen
go to
a
New
little bit.
Mexico.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Where's my desktop capture? There it is. And here we go. And so this is August. So I'm looking at the first week to the second week in August.
Mm-hmm. That's the sweet spot. That is the time.
So I mean, and this is thrown out to everybody. So I mean, this is whoever's watching, whoever wants to go. I'm thinking about dates. I'm thinking about just setting something up over at Cherry Springs, And it's going to be very informal. It's not going to be a big deal. It's no talkers or speakers or anything like that. But I'm thinking, if weather permitting, the weekend from the 6th through the 8th, right now, of August, weather permitting. So what I mean by that is, I don't want anybody driving up to Cherry Springs in the middle of nowhere for a one-night outing.
Right.
So that being said, if the weather is good the 3rd through the 5th and not good for the weekend, then we may change from the 6th through the 8th and go to the 3rd through the 5th, or vice versa, the 10th through the 12th. Whatever. It all depends on the weather. So it's going to be a moving target. But what do you guys think about doing something like that in the first couple weeks in August?
It's a much bigger commitment for you guys than it is for me. You know, I'm 2 hours from there.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
Well,
you just let me know.
Yeah.
And like
well, I plan.
I gotta talk to the boss. You never know.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, I plan on going up sometime within those 2 weeks. Anybody else is invited. So hopefully, we can go up there, have a good time. Have a couple drinks and some hot dogs. As long as we don't have an open flame, no one will bother us.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's one thing that I was thinking about.
There's Scott's photo he wanted to share.
Yeah. That,
wait a minute, where is
and
it?
I also have, I have the advantage of being inside of a garage. So, and the garage is fairly blacked out, even in even in high noon, I close the doors and I've got the window blacked out. So,
Well, I mean, from that picture, what that looks like to me is, it looks like you got a diffuser on one and a T-shirt on the other. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know if that. So
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yep.
Is that
the
because the
T-shirt's
light's
on the
too
OTA.
bright?
No, that actually is getting my histogram at about 40%.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it looks weird, but no, it's not. That's about
When
that.
you're actually
That gets
dealing
that histogram
with
in at a,
when you're actually dealing with light and physics, the way that light works, the more diffusion you can get, the more uniform the light will be. So just diffusing with the
That makes
shirt
sense.
isn't enough. Diffusing the
Right.
light and diffusing the shirt as diffusion is going to give you a more uniform overall
And
outcome. Which
that
is why
makes
I'm
sense.
using the melt glass to do the same thing.
And you see, I
Nice.
could get away with using the milk glass in place of the T-shirt, but the panel that I'm using right now, if you bring back my picture, what I'm. There you go. This here, right? You can literally double stack, triple stack, quadruple stack these, right on one on top of the other, and I think each one of these is a full stop of light.
Okay.
So if Jason's absolutely right. The more you have, the more diffusion you have, the more even it is. That in portrait photography, we do that all the time. When you want really harsh light, you're not diffusing at all. My barn doors are wide open, no diffusing. I get them just about as close to my subject as I can, and I get that nice edgy, hard light, right, for like doing athletes and things, right? But if I want portraits where I want the light soft, my diffusers, I've got these two absolutely enormous umbrellas. They're 5-foot, huge umbrellas. The soft boxes, huge monsters, and those things just diffuse lights. It turns the skin into just butter, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, it does make a
No,
big difference. I've used a lot
yeah.
of the different diffusers like that.
Yep.
Both in my photography and with the astrophotography.
It looks like Tarek's not going to make the AstroWorld Star Party. He said he's 20-hour flight away. So
Oh, come on, Trek. You want to get out of there. You don't like the UAE. You wanna
yeah,
come
you
check out
need
the
to get
US.
out of UAE, man. You got to come on over and hang out with us in the middle of Pennsylvania somewhere.
You got to see what it's like in a Portal 2 in PA.
He's from the UAE. It's all
Surrounded by
Portal
deep
2.
deciduous.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not
all
US
Portal 2.
Portal 2.
Yeah. Big difference.
Whatever, man. Yeah, big difference. Yeah, the pollution. That's what the big difference is.
It's PA. He can stop over and get one of those Quaker furnaces to take back home.
Yeah, and you could go in. You could go check out the Amish too. So go check that out.
Help raise a barn.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
do that. Make some TVs or something. He could go to a desert with Portal 1, he said.
See, yes.
I'm Desert Portal 6.
Desert Portal 6.
Yeah.
That's not a desert. That's like an oasis.
Big difference.
All right, so we still haven't spoken about two of the other calibration frames. Well, they're almost exactly the same, kind of, sort of. Bias and flat darks. Anyone want to take that on, or?
Well, biases are the easiest, and usually you do biases either if you have CCD. You can do them with CMOS, but the rule nowadays is to do dark flats, and we'll talk about that in a second. But if you're doing DSLR astrophotography, that's probably the most common time where you're going to do it, and it's basically just like doing your darks. You're going to put the lens cap over it, you're nice and dark. But the difference is that you go, at your top speed, with a bias, whatever your top speed is, usually for your DSLR or just a little bit shy of that, and you just rattle off, a couple hundred of those or 100 of those, and basically what it does, it helps calibrate your flat frames is what you're doing. You're helping dealing with the with the noise of those flats. Of those flat calibration frames, you're working to cancel that out, just like you were doing with dark frames. You're trying to cancel out the pixels and the read noise and the thermal read noise from your lights. It's basically doing the same thing with your flats. Okay, calibrating out all of those artifacts and things like that, and all of that noise or and stuff. And flat darks, it's a dark with your lens cap on. So basically, for CMOS guys like myself and Jason, if you're using, the CMOS cameras, dedicated astro cameras, right after you do your flats, just put the telescope cap on or something, and just redo your dark, just redo that. But one thing you want to do is whatever software acquisition software you're using for your you want to make sure you set it to either dark, or if you have a setting for flat darks, choose dark flat darks. Don't set it to flat or anything like that. You want to make sure you're setting it to dark or flat dark, and just go to town, rattle off 30 or 40 of those, just like you did your flats, and it'll calibrate out those artifacts and that noise that you had in your flat frames.
Well, and Adam Block actually.
Go ahead.
Well, Adam Block, when he was on, actually did a really good coverage of why you would do flat darks versus just doing lights, bias, darks, and flats. Dark flats are actually calibrating the darks to help with read noise and sensor noise. Which is why you're using that, and it became a stronger metric with WBPV2. Prior to that, you could do it, but it was a much more intensive manual process to get there.
Yeah, and just whoever thought of the terminology of flat darks is an idiot. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. I mean,
it's flat dark or dark flat.
Oh my! They should have just called it. They should have just called it a FARC. You gotta take FARCs and FARC it. But that's the whole thing. That has got to be the most confusing.
Hold on.
That's it. That's got to be the most confusing piece of terminology since somebody called a parkway, and a driveway, even though we park in a driveway and drive in a parkway. I don't understand the whole thing. It drives me nuts.
English language.
Oh God, it's out of control. Why are freeways not free? I don't understand. But whatever.
But you're on the highway. I hope you're not high. You're not driving down the highway.
Many people are. Trust me. Go through Queens. Go through Queens any day of the week.
Colorado. You never know. Nothing against Colorado.
You know how much I love Queens. Don't get me started.
Oh boy.
But
we might have to end this a little quick.
but somebody said Flark. Somebody says Flark.
Yeah, Flark.
You know, I mean, the whole thing. You know, and to Eric's point, don't confuse your flat darks. Actually, not the flat darks. The bias with being turned off. The bias is with the darks and what they do, because they do two completely different things, and they both have to do with noise, but it's different types of noise.
Well, the biases are doing the lights. The dark flats are correcting the darks.
No, yeah, I was actually talking biases versus darks, not biases versus dark flats. But biases are calibrating out, like Eric said, your read noise. And that's noise really that's based on the sensor for when you're moving. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys. For when you're, because I don't know a lot about CMOS chips, but when the electrons are moving through the columns and into a register and shifting over through the USB hub, it creates noise and read noise as it clears every register to get more photons. Is that correct?
You got the gist of it.
Yeah, the gist of it.
So as far as dark noise, I'm just leaving the light off. As far as dark noise is concerned, dark noise is more dealing with the thermal properties of your camera and dealing with the thermal noise that's created through the electronics and the sensor that are giving you all these nice little speckles and white speckles like we saw before, all that kind of crazy stuff that you want out of your photo as well. But it's just a different type of noise. One's thermal electronic, and one's just read electronic. So just to make sure that we know the difference of point. As far as flat darks are concerned, like Eric said, they're flats, the same exposure as your darks, same temperature as your darks. And that gets, if I remember right, flat darks get divided out?
Yes, divided out.
Yes, they
get divided out.
And biases get subtracted out.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah, the bias in the dark, and then the flat gets divided. And yeah, gotcha. But if you don't know what's going on, take a look at WBVP, and the diagram, the calibration diagram will tell you exactly if it's minusing, subtracting, dividing, and what's going to happen to make you your master light. So,
yep. I would also recommend, take a look at our video that we did a few months ago with Adam Block, who helped me out and helped me understand, especially with these, with calibration frames with your flat darks and why you do these. And he's a brilliant guy, and you'll get a lot of knowledge just from that video, a lot of information just from that video. It really helped me out.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And if you're actually part of the Adam Block Studios stuff, at least the what is it, the basic? What's the basic one called again?
The Essentials.
Horizons or Essentials.
Essentials. Horizons is the next
Essentials?
step up. Yep.
Horizon is the next one. Well, he just came out with a. If you are already part of the plans already, he came out with a discounted plan for the Horizons. At least I don't know when it ended. It may have ended already, but definitely check it out. He does some really great work with the Pix TV. He's been on the show twice.
He's been on the show a couple times.
And the guy's brilliant. He's got many APODs, and you know what? You could really learn a lot from him. He does also one-on-one tutoring as long as you could get the time with him, because the man's very busy.
Well, he does do this for a full-time career.
Yeah, he is the person I would because of what he does at Mount Lemmon. He is the true, in my opinion, a true professional astrophotographer. Yeah. Because he's doing it more for scientific purposes and for work, and but he is a true professional at what he does, and he is a brilliant guy. He really is.
Yeah.
Speaking of
check it
APODs,
out at
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Speaking of APODs, Simon got an APOD.
What?
Yeah.
What?
When did that come out?
I don't know if he's broadcast everything, but his C111 that he did a couple months ago, he submitted it and got an APOD.
Oh, and we got our first AstroWorld APOD. Nice job, Simon. Congratulations, buddy. You deserve it.
Congratulations.
Let me tell you, and if you haven't seen any of Simon's stuff, and I believe it's Greendale Observatory.
I believe that's
Is that
right,
correct?
Yeah,
Greendale
right.
Observatory. Check him out, and he's also on Facebook as Simon Lewis. Check it out, man. The guy just does so much
Amazing.
awesome work with Dark Nebula. I mean, this guy. That's all this guy. The pictures that he takes of Dark Nebula, the LDN stuff, is unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you got these, you got so many different, pieces and and options to do. I think Ron Breacher, like he mentioned in one of his courses that he loves globular clusters. Those, he enjoys imaging globular clusters. There's other people who enjoy going after bright nebulae. Simon loves going after dark nebulae. It just depends. There's so many different facets, and options, of something you may want to specialize in. This is a great hobby to do, so it's really a lot of fun.
Yeah. Look at that. Our clothes is all ready to go. Look at that.
She's ready.
She's ready and raring to go.
Let's do this.
You ready?
She says, let's go.
She's ready to go?
I got to go to bed.
Hey.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, just...
hold on. Go ahead, Dan.
What's it? Just remember, you guys have 1 hour and 19 minutes left
To submit.
to get in your submissions for the Sun Sky Challenge and to kick one of these guys out of the top 3. So get them in. Let me know what you think of.
Only 4.
We have 4. So as a matter of fact, we only have 1 loser then. So we have more winners than losers. Go figure that out. But that's fine. That's okay. And you know what? Hopefully that the Ron Breachers and the money goes to somebody that will that needs it and deserves it and all that. So so remember to get that in. Let me know what you guys think about. I am not organizing this star party. I'm just saying it's an idea for everybody to get together. So I will be there sometime during those 2 weeks. I'll keep you guys in the loop on when that'll be as the day grows closer. That being said, how about it? Let's get the close out and have a good night, guys. And we'll say, go right ahead.
Go for it.
Keep imaging, keep educating the clear skies. We ceiling next time on AstroWorld TV.
Night,
All
everybody.
right, have a good night, guys. Take care.